What I wanted to talk about today is the question of choosing life. Bacharta b'chaim, it says in the Torah. It's a mitzvah, it's an instructive that we are given that we should choose to live and to not to die. It might be obvious, it might seem like who would want to die? But indeed, it's a positive affirmation that I want my life to be a real life, a proper life, which is a fulfillment of its purpose. This is definitely true. But it also means physically, protecting this body, making sure that you keep it alive. You feed it, you take care of it, you keep it going as long as possible. It's something that we're told we have to do. Why is that? Why do we have to take care of this body? Well, the Jewish approach is that as much as my soul is my soul, and I own my individuality, I was given this body on loan for a mission, for a unique purpose. It really belongs to God. It doesn't belong to me, per se. And as such, I'm a steward. I'm a person who's watching over it and have to take the best care possible of it. If God's going to direct my life and my soul and help it to grow and help it to find new avenues, how can that be possible if I don't allow the means to occur? If I don't give means to this vessel to be a vessel to the changes in the direction and the divine providence in my life? But just to take a step back a little bit, besides this obvious Torah idea of choosing life, there's something in our peoplehood, in the Jewish peoplehood, which is inherent in that, is the aspect of choosing life. Is that Jewish people have had extremely hard lives. A lot of people have too. But throughout the ages, through all the expulsions from the countries, throughout all the pogroms and all of the persecutions that we have encountered, it's always been the Jewish approach not to give up, not to settle, but to choose life. And in fact, it amazes me that a lot of my patients that I see in the nursing home and the hospice who are Holocaust survivors, most of the people who see them, caregivers who see them, say, you know what, this person has been through so much. They have been through hell. They have the worst possible memories of life. They've struggled. Why do they want to keep living? They're 85 years old. Why do they want to go on dialysis? Why do they want to be a full code and be resuscitated if their heart stops? It doesn't make a sense to a lot of people. The only way I can make sense of it is that it's in our kishkas. It's in the deep essence of who we are as a people, to not give up. And in fact, it's actually affirmed by some research that I have seen in recent years. There was a study done by the Rose Institute in Cleveland where they studied the tendencies of aggressive life choices. In other words, what cultures, what religions were making more aggressive choices to pursue life and which ones were not. And they concluded that it had a lot to do with religion, that the general factor that most directed it was that if a person was more religious, they would generally choose things that are more pro-life, pro-continuing of life, aggressive care. If they were more secular or uninvolved in religion, they didn't. And this was true across the board for Protestants and Presbyterians and Catholics, and also for Jewish people. What was interesting, though, is that a lot of Jewish people, or most Jewish people, even those who were not religious, tended to have a much more pro-life, aggressive stance than the rest of the population. Many of the Jewish people who didn't have a religious aspect to their lives were often choosing life like other people who were, but they were in the religious category. So it's definitely something we have inside of us, this instinct that we want to choose life. And it's a very good thing. But in this day and age, it's a good thing, it's a blessing, but it comes with a lot of complexity. In this day and age, many a child has had to choose. Mom is 90 years old now. Her life, she feels, has had its purpose. She's had a lot of suffering. She can barely walk. She can't feed herself. She doesn't look the same. She doesn't feel the same. So now the doctor says it's time for surgery. She should have dialysis. She should have some kind of treatment that's not going to make her too much better, but it's going to give her more life. And is that a choice that they have to make? And so that's a very difficult and, deeper understanding of what it is to choose life. And so I'm not going to go into that right now. That's a huge talk in of itself. But it's important to understand both sides. I see many a Jewish family who are choosing aggressively because of their tradition. It doesn't matter the circumstances. Of course, the tradition does ask how much suffering is there. Is it futile? Is this what the patient really wants? Those are considerations. But in generally, they're pushing for as much as medicine can do they want to receive, because life is life. But also, as much as I see that and I respect that, and that is part of my tradition, I also see many times where that isn't appropriate, where the person is not able or ready for that way of thinking. And as such, the role of hospice, the role of palliative medicine in our society has become much more significant. Many more people are choosing the course of hospice and palliative care at the end of their life. And this certainly is an approach which doesn't allow for premature dying. It doesn't say to people, you can let yourself go right now. It just says we don't have to go the way of aggressive care. We can utilize comfort care. We can do things simply. We can do things that don't involve you going to the hospital. We can figure out ways to solve problems without big machines or complexities. We can still try to keep your life going, but not do so in a way that the risks and the benefits calculus, that it's not all messed up. So for a Jewish person, it is not so simple. It is about choosing life, but it's how to choose that life that really matters and is so important to us.